hundreds of pro traders to bring you the most credible and qualified to participate on our shows, and our next presenter exceeds all of our standards. She has a BA in mathematics from the University of Southern California, an MS in information resource management from the Air Force Institute of Technology, and over 23 years experience studying the markets. She's the vice president and senior technical analyst at DecisionPoint.com, along with her father, Carl Swenlin. She launched Decision Point Daily blog in 2009 alongside Carl, and she also serves as a consulting technical analyst and the blog contributor at StockCharts.com. She's an active member of the CMT Association. Ladies and gentlemen, here to present Finding Pure Strength Using the Price Momentum Oscillator, PMO, is Erin Swenlin of DecisionPoint.com. Welcome back to Traders Corner, Erin.
Thank you. And just for the record, that wasn't me.
I'm sure you've got your tech helper or dad or someone else that may do things like that sitting around with you, and no judgment.
All right. Well, I guess we are kind of around lunchtime, so there you go. All right.
We're exactly after lunchtime, so you probably just had, your late coffee or a soda, a sandwich, a salad,
Yes.
whatever it is that you had decided for lunch.
All right, let's go ahead and get this started. So you pretty much gave the title away for sure. Of course, I want you to do that. You talked about me, so I don't know that I need to get too into this, but I do have a bachelor's in mathematics from USC, fight on, master's Science and Information Resource Management. I got that at the Air Force Institute of Technology. And I've been studying the markets, honestly, since I was in high school. My father is self-taught, Carl Swenlin, and he taught me a lot. I also went through the CMT program through level 2, haven't done level 3. But anyway, I got a lot of information through that as well. I run DecisionPoint.com. This is where I'd like you all to go and sign up for my free email list. Really easy to do, and I do not hit you up all the time on my free list. So don't worry, you're not going to get bombarded by emails, but do go to DecisionPoint.com and you can sign up for my free email list right on the homepage. I also do work for StockCharts.com, and I'm on StockCharts TV periodically. I've been a consulting technical analyst for them for over 14 years. And I do the Decision Point blog that is free on StockCharts.com. All right, so let's talk about the price momentum oscillator. I'm going to just give you a kind of some basics here, very basic. I don't want to get into too much detail on how we calculate it and all of that. If you want to find that out, you can find it in Chart School on StockCharts.com. Just look up the PMO there. So the PMO is basically a rate of change ratio. So it's very similar to the MACD in the way it acts. And it's very similar to the PPO, which is the normalized version of the MACD. And the difference, though, is they are constructed differently. The MACD is a difference between two moving averages. The PMO is calculated with average after average, smoothing after smoothing, and that is what gives us the rate of change ratio for the PMO. So now we're going to talk about what we're going to be looking for, which is pure strength. And this is not a really difficult concept, but I have a bunch of examples for you. I decided what I do is go through the Magnificent Seven. Everybody's curious what's going on with those. And I was going to point out, I will point out periods of pure strength, weakness, etc. But this is what we're looking for, is pure strength with the PMO. And the first thing you want is the PMO needs to be above the 0 line. And particularly on a crossover buy signal, that's your really pure strength right there. If you get that crossover buy where the PMO crosses above its signal line, that's where you really get the sweet spot. The PMO can be flat above the 0 line, and that is also pure strength. Maybe you don't think of it that way because the PMO is flat. What's going on? It's not rising. Maybe, things aren't going so well. Now, in actuality, things are going very well when the PMO is flat above the zero line, and I'll discuss that a little bit later in our discussion on the charts themselves. And then finally, the distance of the PMO from the zero line really determines how strong that strength is, if you will, or how weak it is. So that's what we're going to be looking at too, is how far away is the PMO from its zero line. Pure weakness, this is kind of the flip side, right? So you have the PMO and it's below the zero line on a crossover sell signal. You can't get much more weak than that. The PMO being flat beneath the zero line, that's also bad. That tells you that there's lots of weakness. It's not disappearing. It's steady. So that's also a sign of pure weakness. And again, the distance to the zero line is what's going to really determine the weakness or not. All right, let's see if I can share the right screen and we'll get to the next one. I don't want that one. Hang on. I'm going to have to switch to over here and see if I can't get, there we go. That's better. I want to make sure that this chart's as big as I can make it. All right, so as you can see here, this is the PMO down here. So this is the window we're going to be paying attention to most. Obviously price up here. I also have on balance volume on the chart, and you'll see volume as well. I think some of these charts are organized a little bit differently than this one, but it's going to give us the same information we need. I'm going to actually move this into an annotate tool because everything got kind of moved around here. There we go. All right, so let's start over here. This was easy, right? I said if you get a flat PMO above the zero line, particularly this far above the zero line, that's a sign of pure strength. That means this move is continuing on in a nice, it's not accelerating, right? The PMO isn't accelerating here, it's flat, but that means that the acceleration is even. It's the same acceleration. So think of it as, I often talk about the PMO being the representation of the accelerator on your car. And think about what you're doing to the accelerator when it's flat and when it's moving down, etc. So if you're moving up, if the PMO is moving up, you're pushing down on that accelerator. You're getting an accelerated price move. If the PMO flattens out, that means that the move is very steady in the uptrend that it is in, and that is a sign of pure strength, especially, like I said, when it's this far above the zero line. So think of the flat PMO as basically you kind of let up on the pedal just a little bit so that you coast. So you're just moving sideways, but you're coasting, you're still moving forward, you're still moving at that same acceleration, you're trying to keep it there. So that's what we would mark as that. When the PMO starts to take a turn for the worse, this is when you're letting up on the accelerator. This is also where you might be starting to put the brakes on when you hit the zero line. So these are the things you don't want to see. So there's our pure strength. Here's some pure weakness, and it's a little confusing because we do have this little crossover buy signal in the middle of this. But mainly, the PMO is somewhat flat, and it's beneath the zero line. So this is pure weakness. There's bad things going on. You could see with this PMO crossover sell signal back down here, that really signaled trouble for what was going on. Now we did get that buy signal, but notice that it failed pretty quickly and went back into decline. And that is a sign of weakness, pure weakness. Now you start to see us coming out of this. At first, when we get this particular buy signal, we're seeing diminishing weakness. But the minute it gets above the zero line, now you're talking about pure strength, and we're getting that PMO accelerating higher. You can see price accelerating higher. And even though the PMO is flattened, you're still getting more moves to the upside. Then you get this PMO sell signal. Now we're looking at diminishing strength. I don't look at it as weakness because we're above the zero line. So we're losing some strength, but it doesn't mean that we're going to fall apart just yet. So really what you can see during this diminishing strength period is price. Yes, it had the big move, but ultimately it moved mostly sideways. We didn't get much out of it. That's diminishing strength. Once we went below the zero line, which is where we are now on Apple, you're in pure weakness. So right now, Apple is showing pure weakness as far as the PMO goes. So be really careful with this particular Mag 7 stock. It's probably one of the worst looking ones out there right now. All right, let's go to Amazon. Now I have the big chart. There we go. So let's start from the left and move on to the right. Pure strength, flat PMO, rising PMO well above the zero line. PMO sell signal, PMO starting to decrease, the foot's coming off the accelerator, so we have diminishing strength. And I say diminishing strength, look what price did during that diminishing strength period. Didn't do much, didn't move, it moved mostly sideways. You didn't get a big decline out of it. That's diminishing strength. Next up, pure weakness. PMO goes below the zero line and stays beneath the zero line. That's pure weakness, and you can see exactly what was going on with price. PMO is really, it does lag in some cases, but if you look at it, the big picture and what it's been doing, you really get a good sign of what will happen. So I am very, very fond of my PMO. I think the MACD is great, don't get me wrong. The PPO does very similar reactions. You could probably still use these thresholds for the PPO as well. I know that the PMO is not on every charting platform. I know we're on quite a few. I believe we're on Thinkorswim, which is one of the big popular ones. And we have a special relationship with stockcharts.com. So you'll find all of our charts are from stockcharts.com. All right, back to the PMO. Here's pure strength. You can see moving right across, flat PMO, but it's well above the zero line. And notice price during that strength period is moving up, moving up, moving up. Now we're seeing diminishing strength. So for Amazon right now, we are seeing diminishing strength because we did get that PMO sell signal, but it's diminishing strength. I don't know that we're looking at the beginning of a big time drop here. What I see is more likely some consolidation, probably staying above this area of gap support. So I think Amazon looks okay right now. Probably could see a little bit more upside seeing it today. Definitely better setup than Apple, that's for sure. All right, let's look at Google. All right, pure strength, pretty easy. There's the PMO crossover buy, really straight up move, foot pressing on the accelerator. And then we get this PMO sell signal. But this is diminishing strength. Diminishes, stays above the zero line. We get the fake out here on that buy signal, but then it stays above the zero line and we get the crossover buy, and that is pure strength. It goes into this period of pure strength right here where the PMO is flat and it just continues on. You can see the price moves up while that's going on. So that's a good sign as well. Now, back here, we're starting to see diminishing, we're seeing pure weakness. We get that PMO sell signal and it goes below the zero line. That's pure weakness. You can tell that this isn't necessarily diminishing strength because it is so very close to the zero line. You know things are a little bit unhappy there. It didn't save you from this big decline here, granted, but we did see that this is pure weakness coming in through here. And then we get diminishing weakness on this PMO buy signal, and we're getting more moving upward, but it doesn't sustain itself. It starts to fall back down. Then we start to see this period of pure strength arrive. There's your PMO buy signal above the zero line, and it's moving upward. Accelerator press down to the floor here, and you can see the price is doing what we wanted to. We got the PMO sell signal back here in February, actually, yeah, February. And sorry, I have a dog barking in the background. I'm not going to be able to help with that very much right now. Let me mute and yell at him a little bit. I closed all the windows and he's still figuring out something to bark at. What are you going to do? Okay. So here's our diminishing strength on this PMO sell signal. PMO is moving downward, diminishing strength. Now we're at below the zero line here for Google. That's a period now of pure weakness. It's coming through. So this does not look good for Google. You can also see that 20-day EMA getting ready to cross below the 50-day EMA. And just for a few other things to look at relative strength for Google right now. The group it's in is failing against the S&P. It is failing against the S&P. And it's failing against its group. This is relative strength of Google against its industry group of the internet. And you can see that that is diminishing as well. So we kind of knew this was diminishing strength, but when you start looking at a stochastics topping here, you can see the OBV starting to move lower. There were a couple of signs here that told us that, you know what, we might be past the diminishing strength period and moving into weakness. And that's exactly what's going on. And like I said, once we drop below the zero line, now we're talking pure weakness. So be very careful with Google right now. Meta platforms. All right, pure strength. Meta's just had a great year. What are you going to do? I mean, this has been pretty much straight up move. Right here, you had that period of pure strength where the PMO was just flat above the zero line, well above the zero line. You can see price moving up at that point. Then we saw this period of diminishing strength coming in, and that is right in here. And we really kept up with this. This was flat, but it's very close to the zero line. So I would still say diminishing strength here. And you can see price was very flat through this period while the PMO was above the zero line. Then we started to see a little bit of failure back here, but ultimately, once we got that buy signal above the zero line, we started into the pure strength move. And you can see from then on out, the PMO rising, price rising. Now we have a PMO sell signal that just came in on Meta platforms. So another Magnificent Seven stock that is really lining up negatively right now. But this is diminishing strength because the PMO is so far above the zero line right now. So this is diminishing strength. So similar to, I think it was Google, what we're looking at is gap support back here, probably will hold because we have diminishing strength, not weakness yet. And you can see even the stochastic staying right around 80. There are a lot of things to tell us that it isn't, this PMO sell signal is not the end of the world. So I would be prepared for a period of consolidation with Meta platforms based on what I'm seeing right now. Microsoft. Right here is pure strength going across. Right here at that PMO sell signal, that's where we have diminishing strength. And the PMO is moving downward this whole time. Price is moving sideways. It's not dropping like a rock. That's a sign of diminishing strength. But then we get this PMO top, which is very close to the zero line. And we start seeing stochastics falling. We start seeing other problems. This is a sign of pure weakness. You can see the PMO is really putting margin between it and its signal line. Not a great place to be. And you can see that we were starting to see this decline here. Then we had a period of diminishing weakness with these buy signals that came in, but it's diminishing weakness. We're still not really seeing much out of price. It's still moving mostly flat. But right here, the PMO gets above the zero line, right in there, and it does start to rise. and get a little, put more distance between it and its signal line, and that was your sign of pure strength, and that's exactly what we got out of the move. Back here, PMO sell signal, this is what we just saw on Meta, diminishing strength. What happened to price? We didn't get a big decline. We ended up with consolidation, moving sideways. Then we got that PMO buy signal to come in, and that's your pure strength as it moves upward, upward, upward. And now we have diminishing strength going on with Microsoft. So we have to prepare ourselves for a possible down move or more sideways movement, which is what I would vote for right now. All right, NVIDIA. Amazing that I even had a period of weakness on this chart. The NVIDIA has been nothing short of breathtaking as far as its move higher. But we did have a period where it didn't do a whole lot. And I never really thought about that because it just seems like all it does is go up. But really, when you look at the price chart, it did have a period of weakness back in here. So here's your diminishing strength, PMO sell signal, moving down, moving down, moving down. And what did price do? Sideways, sideways, sideways. Then we got that buy signal above the 0 line, and we did get some upside. That was a period, it's above the 0 line, so it should be considered pure strength coming in, but that failed very quickly. And that was the sign that no, we're actually moving into a period of diminishing strength, and now pure weakness once it moved below the 0 line. And then really it stayed beneath the 0 line mostly during this period. And that was this weak period where you can see price did stay mostly sideways. What happened though? We got that PMO crossover buy signal, diminishing weakness, price moved up for us, started to move back down. We got the sell signal, but we're still above the 0 line, so we still are in a period of strength, if you will. Then we get the flattening here of the PMO above the 0 line. That's pure strength, and it really came in strong right here with that buy signal. That was a really good sign. We've been seeing the PMO flat, not doing much, and then we got that buy signal, and it immediately put distance between it and its signal line, which told us we should expect more upside coming out of NVIDIA here. And that's exactly what we got. The PMO did get yanked lower on that big decline leading into earnings, but it immediately whipsawed back into a buy signal, and it currently is well above the 0 line. And the PMO does look like it wants to continue higher, well above the 0 line. So we're still in a period of pure strength for NVIDIA. So I still see NVIDIA having more upside potential right now. And you can see relative strength-wise looking really good here for NVIDIA. Definitely a leader, as we know, within the index. You can even see during this period stochastic staying right above 80. That's another sign of pure strength. So you knew that you were in a period of pure strength at that time. All right, NVIDIA. Tesla. There's been some discussion that it might move to the Magnificent Six and that Tesla might be leaving the nomenclature anyway of the Magnificent Seven. Haven't heard the Magnificent Six yet, but you heard it here first if we do change into that. All right, so Tesla really not having the best year that we can see here. It's not been doing much. So let's see whether the PMO is telling us something here. So back here we had period of pure strength come in when the PMO crossed above the 0 line, and boom, it did. We got really great rally out of it. Back here then the PMO started to flatten out, but that's okay. That's okay. We're still in a period of pure strength. It's back here where we get that sell signal. That's when the diminishing strength comes in. And then it starts to put distance between it and its signal line. Even though it hasn't reached the 0 line, we can see already stochastics are falling. Relative strength is starting to fail. lots of problems going on in this little period of time that definitely told us we should expect more decline, and the pure weakness showed through, and it really stuck around, I would say, this whole time. I mean, the PMO did get above the zero line, but it was really wishy-washy the whole way through. And you can see during this period of pure weakness back in here, didn't do much. We got some diminishing weakness back here. So we started to see a little bit of flattening, a little bit of upside here once the PMO got above zero, but it pretty much failed very quickly. And you can see there's your diminishing weakness there, continuing in. There's diminishing weakness as we move higher. This is a little bit wrong, actually. I wouldn't call that diminishing weakness. That's diminishing strength because it's above the zero line. But it turned out to be a period of diminishing weakness. There you go. So what's going on with it now? Tesla actually looks pretty good, but we're in a period of diminishing weakness. We're still not in a period of strength yet. The PMO hasn't reached the zero line. So while I do see some upside potential here for Tesla, I think it's limited right now. I think it will be slow going. We might see some more upside here, but I would vote for a little bit more, maybe a melt up is a good way to look at it. Some consolidation with maybe a slight rising trend going in based on the PMO. All right, so that covers the Magnificent Seven. I want to take you over to my website really quickly here. Let's see, where are we going? There we go. Here's my home page. I have two reports that I do. The Decision Point Alert, which is going to give you, it's kind of your news source. I get you everything you need to know about the trend and condition of the market in that letter. You get everything from an in-depth look at the SPY to Bitcoin, the dollar, yields, gold miners, crude oil. I cover all of that in this report. It's very clear and concise. Doesn't take a rocket science to understand it. It's very easy to get through very quickly, and you'll know everything you need to know about the market if you read this every day. Decision Point Diamonds might be more up your alley because you're in a trading room here, basically. And this is where I give out 10 stock picks, stock and ETF picks per week. I have an ETF day on Wednesday because I know not everybody likes to trade stocks. So I offer the ETF day on Wednesdays. I'm going to take you very quickly into one of my prior diamonds reports just to give you a sense of what we're talking about. There's pure strength using the PMO. So this is a Decision Point Diamonds report. I will talk about whatever is interesting me at the time. If there's something, I run scans to give me these stock symbols, and I'll talk about what the themes might be. Am I getting a lot of industrials? Am I seeing banks? I talk about that in the lead-in, but then I give you your diamonds in the rough. These are the 4 I gave out on Tuesday. Hopefully they all do really well since I'm giving them away to everybody. I know KOP did very well on earnings, so I know it's up over 7%, or it was yesterday at one point. I also run a subscriber-only trading room so that you can go in and we look at those diamonds in the rough. I let you know whether I think they're doing well. Do they look lined up well to go into the future, or should we just forget about them? We talk about all of that. I take your symbol requests. I also do a free trading room, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's YouTube. I'm at decisionpoint.com. So Decision Point without the dot. Decisionpoint.com is my YouTube channel. I would really love to have you subscribe. This is where I post my free trading rooms. You can also go there and be in the trading room live. If you look for this on my homepage, this exact ad, just click on it. You'll be able to register, and every Monday you can go into the trading room with me and look at these PMOs and what they're doing and where we're finding strength and where we're not. I also look at your symbol requests, so we can take a peek at those. And actually, if you have a few, it looks like I might have just a few minutes to take a few symbol requests. Just throw a couple in the question box and I'll take a peek at them. So what I do is I tell you when earnings are. You can see this one was going to report today, so I made sure everybody knew that. Stock Charts runs various scans every day that are predefined. I tell you which of those scans came through on. And then I give you the daily chart, tell you what I'm seeing. In this case, pure strength. PMO is above the 0 line with a crossover buy signal. And really during this period, we had diminishing strength. We really didn't see a complete loss of strength because price stayed above support that whole time. So this one was lined up very well on the breakout. Then I do a weekly chart, because I think you need to see the weekly chart to know what the intermediate term look is of your trade. A lot of times these weekly charts aren't very positive, so we want to keep those trades that I give you as short-term trades, not intermediate term investments. In this case, AMWD looks really good, even in the intermediate term, with the exception of that overbought RSI. But I'm not overly concerned about the overbought RSI because you can see it's had periods where it can hold on to that overbought condition for quite some time. So I think AMWD is looking very good. Intuit was another one. And here we have a period of pure strength going on. PMO is flat above the 0 line. And in fact, right now, at that point in time, it was getting ready to give us a crossover buy signal. Not sure what's happened to it since Tuesday. I think it had a bad day yesterday, but I'm not sure. But you can see relative strength, all of this. I give you the whole write-up and tell you why these stocks are looking good to me. This one I do know reported on Wednesday morning and did very well on earnings. We had another period here of diminishing strength, but now we're getting ready to see some pure strength as the PMO is ready to cross above its signal line. And finally, the last one, Tempur-Pedic. Here's another one that has experienced diminishing strength. Notice price straight across, diminishing strength. But now we're getting ready to get that crossover buy signal, and that's a sign of pure strength coming on this breakout for Tempur-Pedic. All right, I will look at a few symbol requests before we leave, but I just wanted to make sure you could see what it is I do. Here's a decision point alert for you. We talked about the trading day, looked at what the Magnificent Seven did and how that might have affected what we had going on yesterday. We have our scoreboard, our market scoreboard tells you what our intermediate term trend model, long-term trend model are reading right now. We give you the background of what happened on the day. We look at the S&P, like I said, primarily. I look at a 5-month candle, I look at a 1-year chart, and we discuss everything on there. There's my free trading room again. New highs, new lows. I look at what we call climax analysis. If you get our report, you can read about climax analysis. Our short-term Swenlin trading oscillators are included. Our intermediate term breadth momentum and volume momentum indicators are included. And then we have our participation indicator chart. I've talked about my participation indicators, and if you sign up for my free email list, I will be doing a presentation, I believe next week, yes, on chart patterns, but I have other presentations coming up, and one of them will be on participation. So sign up for that free email list on decisionpoint.com, easy to do. And again, I don't inundate you with email, I promise you that. So this is our participation indicators and what we're seeing as far as stocks above their 20, 50, and 200-day EMAs. Right now, our big concern with the market are these negative divergences. You know, price is much higher than it was back here. So wouldn't you think you'd have more stocks above their 20-day EMA and more stocks above their 50-day EMA? But we don't. Our silver cross index has been in decline for some time. That's a negative divergence. So all of these things do keep us cautious, but we also are taking advantage of what's happening in the market. What we've been telling our subscribers to do is to get those stops in there, make sure you have them, and let the market stop you out right now, because a lot of us are running on profit. I hope you are. And this way you'll be able to take advantage of any upside that's left in the market and protect yourself to the downside by using those stops. And I think right now is definitely a good time to have stops going. The conclusion, if you don't have time to read all the stuff I just wrote, if you read my conclusion, you get everything you need to know. I also tell you how exposed I am to the market. And then there you go, Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETFs, interest rates, the 10-year, bonds, the dollar. I mean, you get everything in here. And like I said, really easy to read. I don't write a whole heck of a lot on each chart because I don't need to. There's no point in confusing you and making things hard. Here's gold. Like I said, we cover gold, and I cover gold miners. And there's crude oil, and that's the finish. So DP Alert is the one that's going to be this report. It's $50 a month, really cheap. I mean, all of my reports are. And the diamonds, where you get the 10 stock picks per week, and ETF picks, I should say, that's $80 a month. So really not a bad setup there for you. Let's go back over here. If I can make this work. Why isn't it working? There we go. So let's come back here. Here's the information for my free trading room. So like I said, I do those on Mondays. They're at noon Eastern time, so join me for lunch. I go through the market, so we look at those charts that I was talking about in the DP Alert. We then we have a special topic usually every day, and then we cover symbol requests for the last half. So you'll be able to see how we can trade these different symbols as they come in and identify pure strength and pure weakness. So want to try us out? Try out the reports. You can get our bundle package, which is both of those reports. And if you use the coupon code DPTrial2, you will be able to get 2 free weeks of both reports to try out. So you can get a sense of whether it really fits your trading style or not. Or if you'd like, you can get 50% off your first month. Just use the coupon code SAVE50. And there you have that. All right, looks like we have only about 5 minutes left. Let me see, I promised a few symbol requests, so let's go over and do that real quickly.
Can I make my favorite request?
Yes, of course.
The SPY ETF.
The SPY?
Please.
Okay, you got it. Let me use one of my marked up charts here. Actually, I think the 5-month candle is better. I'll talk about both. So right now, what's going on with the PMO on the SPY? I think it's pretty obvious. We have pure strength. There's nothing to tell me that there's weakness coming in. We did get a PMO sell signal yesterday, but ultimately, the PMO is flat and moving sideways, and it's well above the 0 line. There's pure strength in this market right now. We can't ignore that. The problem I have right now are those negative divergences that I pointed out earlier. But the other is this rising wedge that's coming up on the SPY chart. The wedges are really our favorite chart patterns. They almost always do what they're supposed to. You get head and shoulders, you get some of the double tops, and those, they don't always work out. Wedges almost always work out. And a rising wedge is a sign of an upcoming breakdown of that rising trend. So it doesn't mean that we're going to fall apart and end up, you know, way down at the top we saw back here in 2023. I don't see that at this point. There's too much strength based on the PMO to expect that kind of a decline. But certainly the market is due for a pullback, maybe small like we had back here, maybe we're more pure strength and we're going to see just see more of a consolidation period. What we're kind of trying to keep an eye on is what's happening with that Magnificent Seven. It's really what's driving these indexes, and you know, it's just important to know what they're doing, which is why we do keep an eye on those in our DP alert report. All right, let's see if I can find some here. Boeing, there we go. There's one that looks good to do. All right, Boeing is showing pure weakness. The PMO is flat and it's well below the zero line. This is not a stock that I would be interested in getting into. Maybe we're going to get a reversal here because this is a pretty good looking support area. But at this point with this PMO, it is a buy signal, but I would see that as more diminishing weakness. I don't see it as leading into a big rally at this point, just based on the PMO. Stochastics are looking good right now, but we're really not getting the, we're not getting the price action we should. I mean, we got one good day and today it's not doing much. You can see relative strength wise, it's trending lower against the market, something I don't want in a stock that I own. The RSI is negative below that net neutral 50. And then look at the death cross that is getting ready to happen here with the 50 moving below the 200. I would set your stop. If you have this, you could hold it. I would set my stop probably at about 4.5% on this. I wouldn't want it to go much lower than that because pure weakness going on. It could turn into something much worse. All right, let's see here. Zion. And that should be it. So I don't want to run late. Okay. It's starting to enter a period of weakness right now. I wouldn't say it's pure weakness necessarily, but it's a period of weakness. The PMO has moved below the zero line. This is not a good setup. Now it could rebound itself here off of that 200-day EMA, and stochastics are hinting that maybe, just maybe, that'll happen. But I don't see the PMO's telling me even if we get some upside here, it's not going to be very good. So at this point, I don't like what's going on with the Zion chart. Again, I think you could hold this though, and I'd probably be setting my stop at about 6%, I think would be a good stop level for this one at this point. All right, that is it for me. I have enjoyed my time here. I do want to, again, make sure that you have the information on my, let me get the, the sharing got paused. Hang on, there we go. So there's the information again, if you want to get my, the first month for 50% off, just use that coupon code SAVE50. Or if you wish, you can use the code, I don't have it working right now, but you can use the code DPTrial2, and that will also get you what you need. That's me. You can find me at decisionpoint.com, and my email address, if you have any questions or you want to learn more about my reports and find out more information, just feel free to email me, Erin at decisionpoint.com.
Thank you so much.